So on Thursday, we started lesson 2-6 with fraction division. We did our examples of real life situations and how to represent that happening. And we did a couple more examples down here at the bottom. So now we're on page 73. And we're going to continue working on that. So we look at number 4. Students found that their average shoe length was about 3/4 of a foot. They measured their reading rug with a ruler and found it was 6 3/4 feet long. How many of their average shoes could they line up on the rug? So what am I doing there? If we're saying the average shoe length is 3/4 of a foot, and the whole rug is 6 3/4 feet long, and we want to know how many of those shoes we could line up. What operation is that, Izzy? So every foot I would multiply by 3/4 of a foot? I'm dividing, right? I'm starting with this big number, and I'm seeing how many of these can fit in there. So I'm dividing it out. So I would be doing, what's my number sentence going to be then? Elena? Good. 6 3/4 divided by 3/4. Now, how can I show that? What would you use, John?
Maybe draw 6 circles.
Okay. 6 circles. When you think of a rug, are you gonna
Draw
a rectangle? You could try a rectangle. 6 3/4 feet. What does that make you think of, Evelyn?
Since there's a 3/4 fraction, we can use a number line.
Yeah, when I think of feet, I think of a ruler, which is the same as a number line to me. So I would go with a number line. And what does my number line need on it? I start at 0 and I need to go to what? What should my upper end of my number line go to? Hayden? 7. And then I need to cut it in to my whole numbers. Let's see. And again, just trying to make it as even as you can. So then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Kelsey. Sit up. All the way. Now what do I do to that number line? What do I need to do to it? Devin, what do you think? What should I do to that number line now? If it's 6 3/4 feet long, what should I do to my number line? Yep, cut it up into fourths. So each of my holes, I'm going to go half, 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 all the way down. And where do I need to draw or put a dot to show that's how long my rug is? Because my rug doesn't go all the way to 7 feet, right? Emma, where's it go?
It's the line right before 7.
Yeah, the 6 and then 1, 2, 3/4. So I'm gonna put a dot there so I remember that's where I need to stop when I'm doing my jumps, right? So now how am I going to represent cutting it into the 3/4 shoe length, 3/4 of a foot shoe length? How do I represent that? Maddie?
Just go back 3/4. Jump back 3/4.
I do need to jump. Am I going to start here though? where should I always start? At the 0, yes. So instead of jumping back 3/4, we're just gonna start at the 0 and jump up 3/4. So just like we did over here, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna start at 0 and we're gonna count. So 1, 2, 3. So my first jump goes here. Then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, all the way down. So your number line should look like that. And what does that give me as my answer then? Jagger?
9 feet long.
What?
9 feet long.
9, oh, is it feet? What are we using to measure in this situation? Hayden? No, it's not inches. Look back to that question. How many what, Izzy?
9 shoes.
9 shoes, yes. We're talking about those average shoe lengths, remember? Remember to always look back at the question if you forget what the label is. So here's our first shoe, second, third, all the way down. And we end up with 9 shoes. Now, we're going to learn something here that's a trick. It's not actually on this page, but we're going to learn it here. It's called keep, change, flip. So, when you are doing division with fractions, this is only with division with fractions, you keep the first number the same, you change the division into a multiplication symbol, and you flip your last fraction upside down. You get the reciprocal. Okay, you guys did this last year? Okay, perfect. So this isn't brand new. So we would end up with 6 3/4 times, and then I would do the reciprocal, which is meanings flip it upside down, and then it would be 4/3. So then how would I work that out? What's the first thing you should do there? Hayden, what's the first thing? Can't just multiply the fraction only. Evelyn?
Yes, if there's 6 over 1.
Can I do that if I already am in a fraction though? In a mixed number?
No.
Izzy?
Change it into a mixed number.
It is a mixed number. Change it into a, what's the other?
6 and 3/4
Change it into what?
a mixed number.
Well, the 6 3/4 is a mixed number. What's the other term she's looking for, Emma? Just lost it.
Improper fraction.
Improper fraction. That's what, the mixed number is when there's a whole and a fraction together. Improper is when there's a bigger number on your numerator. So you're just mixing up the terms. So if I turn my mixed number into an improper fraction, what do I do to it? How do I work that out? Ava, what do I do?
Multiply 6 and 3 plus 3.
Okay, so what's that give me? 27, and I keep my original. Then I would have 27/4 times 4/3. Now, we kind of touched on this one day. We didn't really go into it a whole lot. Does anybody remember how to simplify across the fraction? If we look at the ones here and here. So if we look here, we have a 4 and a 4. Can they both be divided by something? Ava? 1 or 2 or? Try thinking the biggest thing they could both be divided by. That would be multiplying them. Carter? 4. The last factor. You just didn't make it to the last one. So if I divide these both by 4, 4 divided by 4 gives me 1. So now that becomes 1. 4 divided by 4 gives me 1. So I'm just simplifying it down. I could just multiply 27 times 4 and put it over 4 times 3, but that's a bigger number to multiply. So I'm trying to make it a little easier on myself. So simplification always makes it a little easier on yourself. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. We have 27 and we have 3. Can those both be divided by something? Emma? 3. They can both be divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. 27 divided by 3 gives me 9. Is my multiplication a lot easier now? Yes, it is. And now I just have 9 times 1 is 9. 1 times 1 is 9 over 1 is the same as 9. Did I get the same answer? So we keep, change, flip when you have division of fractions. Okay? I'm going to skip the bottom part of this page and we're going to flip to the last page over here. Page 74. And we're going to practice dividing. So if I have 6/4 divided by 2/4, thinking right up here, do K, C, F. Keep, change, flip. So tell me what I need to write now. Instead of 6/4 divided by 2/4, now I would have what? Hayden? Yep. I kept my first one. I changed from division to multiplication, and I flipped my last one. Now, if I work that out, I could simplify that some, right? I see a 4 and a 4 and a 6 and a 2. But are those like giant numbers that I'm going to have a hard time multiplying? Those are pretty simple, right? So I don't even need to worry about that. 6 times 4 is 24. 4 times 2 is 8. 24 over 8. What's that give me? We think of that fraction bar as what? Division. So I'm thinking 24 divided by 8. How many times can 8 go into 24? Elena? 3 times. Very good. Letter B. Keep, change, flip. What do I do? Ivan? Evelyn, help me out.
First, you need to make your 5 and 2/3.
Oh, sorry, we're on B.
You need to make your 3 and 1/5 and end fraction.
Good. So if I do that, that becomes what?
16/5.
Good. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 1. So since I keep that, I'm not going to do anything different with it. I'm just going to keep it as 16/5. Then what do I do, Evelyn?
You're going to switch the 8 and 5, so it's 5/8.
Well, what do I do in the middle first, though?
You change the division symbol to the multiplication symbol.
Yep, change it to multiplication, and now I do my reciprocal. I flip it, and that becomes, what'd you say, Evelyn? 5/8. Very good. Who sees something right away that we could simplify? We're looking at those cross numbers. We have a 5 and a 5 and a 16 and an 8. What could I simplify? Emmett? 16 and 8 can both be divided by 8. So 8 divided by 8 would give me what, everyone? 8 divided by 8? 1. 16 divided by 8? 2. What else can I simplify up there? Izzy? Oh, are they 4s? 5 and 5. Yes, they can both be divided by? Well, that's just going to give me 5. There you go. They can both be divided by 5. 5 divided by 5 gives me 1. 5 divided by 5 gives me 1. Now I end up with 2 times 1, which is, and 1 times 1, which is 2 over 1 is the same as 2. Now, I'm going to show you on my board here. I'm going to do a quick example of why this works, of why we can do keep, change, flip, and get the answer that we're working on. So, I have 5 circles here, 5 holes, and I need to divide them by 5, 6. So, what do I need to do to those circles? Tavia? Cut them into 6. So, I'm going to go crisscross and then down. So I have 6 pieces on each of my circles now. And if I'm thinking keep, change, flip, what do I need to change my division problem into? Keep, change, flip. What do I do? Jagger, walk me through. Keep, change, flip.
Change the symbol to...
We'll do the first step first. What do I do first? If I'm doing keep, change, flip, what's my first thing to do? Keep the 5, yep. Then change what? Change it into multiplication, and then flip the fraction, do the reciprocal, so then it becomes 6/5. Now, if I work that out, I put my 5 over 1. What do I end up with if I work out my problem of, what's 5 times 6, everyone? 30. And 1 times 5? 5. Now, let's look up at those circles. When I cut those 5 circles into 6 pieces, how many pieces did I make? 30. That's why this works, okay? We're cutting this now into the 6 pieces, so we end up with 30, and we have to do the into fifths, so we would count how many in this first circle would I need to represent, kind of like with the pizzas, where we were telling, okay, this is for one person. How do I represent 5/6 out of that first circle? Hayden, what would you do?
I would just make that like 1 for 5.
You would do what? I couldn't hear you.
You can just shoot it like this person.
So like we did with the pizzas, like put a 1 in each slot. Okay, yeah. You could do numbers like 1 5 times and then 2 5 times. Or you could just shade in 5 out of 6. Or you could circle the 5 out of 6. I kind of like the circle. I don't know why. I just do. So I would do a circle. So this piece then is extra. And same here. Then this piece is extra. Extra, extra, and extra. So I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if I take the extras, how many pieces did I have of extras? Izzy? 5. So that makes how many then could I serve? Like if this was pizza, I could do 6 people, right? 1 here, 2 here, 3, 4, 5. And then all these extra pieces could make the 6th person. And what's 30 divided by 5? 6. Okay, so that's why we can do this keep, change, flip thing. It doesn't make any sense really if you don't break it down and look at why does it work. If you're just thinking, well, how in the world am I just changing a division problem into a multiplication problem? It just works because now we are looking at how many pieces we're cutting all of those holes into. Okay? Yes, baby.
Why wouldn't you just like give one pizza to every person?
Well, if they're only getting 5/6 of the pizza, then they're not going to get the whole thing. They're only going to get 5 out of the 6 pieces. This is just, it doesn't necessarily have to be pizza. It could be anything. But since they're circles and they're cut into triangles, it just makes you think pizza. Okay, so let's jump back to our journal page. Somebody walk me through letter C. 5 3/3 divided by 9/3. Elena?
She had to,
What's my first step?
I know what it is, I'm just confused on what
So what's the K stand for? Keep. I need to keep this, but what do I need to do to it first? Right now it's a mixed number. I need to change it to improper fraction. Good. So how do I do that, Elena? What do I do to it?
3 times 5.
Mm-hmm.
15 and each added 3 equals 18.
Good. So we end up with 18 over 3. Good. So I keep. Now I change it to multiplication, and then I flip it, and now it's 3/9. What's the first thing that should jump out that we could simplify? What do you see? Looking at the cross, we have a 3 and a 3, an 18 and a 9. What do you see that can be divided down to make it simpler, Tavia? 18 and 9. What can they both be divided by? 9. Very good. 9 divided by 9 gives me 18 divided by 9 gives me 2. Is it easy enough now? Yeah, that's pretty easy, right? I have 2 times 3 and 3 times 1. That's pretty easy. I could simplify more, right? What else could I simplify up there, Jagger? It has to go crisscross. And the 9's gone now. Remember, when we divided the 9 by 9, it's no longer 9, it's 1. So this way, or Jagger, look up here. This way or this way is how we simplify. So what else could I simplify in that set? I already did this way, right? Maddie, help him out. Yeah, if I go the other way, cross the other way, I have a 3 and a 3, which can both be divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. 2 times 1 gives me 2. 1 times 1, 1. 2 over 1 is the same as 2. Now again, if you didn't simplify, you would end up at the same answer. You would just have to go start with a bigger fraction and work your way down to get to 2 over 1. So you can either simplify before or simplify after, whichever way you feel more comfortable with, to me, this makes a lot more sense doing it before, because if I didn't do it before, I would have to do 18 times 3, and that's not one I'd have to maybe write it down or sit for a second and think about, where now I have 2 times 1, and that's obviously super easy, right? Yes, Jagger?
Instead of like what you did with the 5 and 3/3,
Mm-hmm.
I did 6 over 1.
Okay, yeah, that works too. So you took the 3/3 and made it into another whole. Yeah, that would have worked too. Because you would have ended up with 6 over 1 here. So you would have ended up with 6 times 3, which would have given you 6 times 3?
18. Oh, 18.
18, and then you would have ended up with 18 over 9, which still would have given you 2. So either way, like I said, any way you do your simplification, you're going to get to the same answer, as long as you follow the keep, change, flip in that order, okay? Questions on this? Is the simplification part, is that confusing you? If it is, make sure you ask me when you get your homework for today. If that simplification part is confusing you, don't do it. Just do your simple multiplication across and then simplify afterwards. If we didn't do that on here, we would have ended up with, I'm going to do it down here because we're not going to go down here. So if we had 18 thirds times 3 ninths, what is 18 times 3? 18 times 3. 8 times 3 is 24. Carry my 2. 3 times 1 plus 2, 5. So I would end up with 54 over, what's 9 times 3? 27. So I would have ended up with 54 over 27, and then I would have needed to divide that down. So we would have been thinking about, okay, 27, how many times can 27 go into 54? And we would have ended up with 2 again. So you don't have to, if this is confusing you, if going across and simplifying is confusing you and you're not ready for that, don't do it. Just do the normal multiplication across and then simplify when you get to the end. Okay? Everybody got that? Okay. So our homework for today will be home link for 2-6. So